Hello everybody, you are watching The Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. Excited in the new studio. I think we got some better, fancier lighting going down. Aw, snap. Still waiting on the anti-glare screen, but this is doable. This is doable, folks. This article was submitted by Patreon supporter Crafty Geek. One of the things you get at the $5 level, you get to submit an article or a topic for me to cover every single month. This article was in the Guardian of the UK. An Israeli cartoonist was fired over Animal Farm Netanyahu caricature. So I'll give you a little backstory. What happened? And this is very much relates to the stuff we've been talking about with Julian Assange. So this Israeli cartoonist basically made fun of this photo. So this photo was taken. This is Netanyahu, and this is a bunch of people in the cabinet. They had just passed a law, and Israel had passed a law that, I'll read it for you. The illustration referenced the Israeli Prime Minister and members of his party taking a congratulatory selfie after passing a contentious law in Parliament that has been decreed as giving Jewish people more rights than the country's minorities. Okay. So people didn't like this. So this was the photo that was taken, right? So this Israeli, and I want to make sure I got his name correct, this Israeli journalist named Avi Katz, this article was in the Guardian, the link will be in the show notes below, named Avi Katz basically made this. He was fired from the Israeli English language magazine. I want to show it to you right here. Okay, that's the actual photo. This is what he did. All animals are equal, but some are more than others. George Orwell. So this is a reference to Animal Farm. Many of you may have studied this in school. I studied it. If you haven't, it's about an animal farm where they rise up against their human oppressors, but then the pigs take over and become more authoritarian. Basically, it was showing how bad communism can be. We've talked a lot about on this show the difference between communism and socialism. So that's what he was referencing. Okay, he made a political cartoon, and a lot of people got offended at this. As well they should. Not as well they should, but I understand that people would get offended at this, right? He's trying to incite this. He's trying to get some people to realize, as any good journalist is doing, this isn't right. He doesn't agree with this law that was passed. Doesn't agree with it. And some people are going to be offended at this. Knowing full well some people are going to get offended at this. But this is what you should do. And he's referencing George Orwell. So here's what the paper said. The Jerusalem Post is the paper that he worked for decades. He worked there for decades. And this is what they said. Avi Katz is a cartoonist who worked as a freelancer at the Jerusalem Post, and in accordance with editorial consideration, it was decided not to continue the relationship with him. It said in a statement according to the Times of Israel. This is the type of censorship. You might not agree with this cartoonist Avi Katz. You might be a huge pro-Netanyahu person. Fine. But this is dangerous. This is why when I've done these vigils, these Unity for Julian vigils, I've done 3 of them now, I believe. I've been a part of them. They're like 2-3-day events, and I'm just one of many people, of dozens of people that do it, and it brings in people from all different walks of life. It's because journalists should be challenging people. They should be challenging the powerful, and they're going to put things out there that people get pissed off at. But you just automatically get fired? It's crazy. So what they did is they started a Facebook page. They've even started a GoFundMe, which is pretty amazing. And here's what Haim Watzman said. A Jerusalem Post reporter, a short fiction writer, published his resignation letter on Facebook saying he could not be associated with a publication that dumps a staff member simply because his work has upset some readers. Well, Israel probably has corporate media just like we have. They have pro-Israel media that's just pushing the state narrative just like we have. It's so funny when I hear conservatives refer to, oh, the liberal media. Our media is not liberal. It is corporate. It is corporate. It is pro-war. It is pro-banking. It is pro-big pharmaceutical. We have no pro-worker mainstream media. Do you understand that? You go to other countries and there's like a socialist newspaper. It's a big-time newspaper or magazine or a TV station. There's a more conservative one, a more liberal one. Like what's wrong with having that? It's all corporate. It's all pushing the same narrative. Here's what else he said. Journalism, when done well, always angers some readers, and it is the duty of the newspaper or magazine's editors and managers to stand by writers and other members of the staff when readers complain about the analysis and opinions expressed by its staff, he wrote. And what you're also saying is, hey, writers and cartoonists and stuff, you better toe the line or we're going to can you. You can't be too controversial, and that's what we have in Air America. You can go after Trump, but you can't go after the machine. You don't like Trump, you can go after Trump. You didn't like Obama, you can go after Obama, but you can't go after the machine. You cannot do that. If you do that, then you get fired like Ed Schultz did, or Phil Donahue did. You get fired. That's what happens. And that's why this is preposterous, and that's why all these journalists should be standing up for Julian Assange. I said this. Sean Hannity, Rachel Maddow, Joyanne Reid, Wolf Blitzer, you name it. They should all be like, this is wrong what's happening to Julian Assange, because this is what happens. Now this gentleman, Avi Katz, is actually his quotes are like, yeah, this is benefiting me and it's doing good stuff. It's helping my career getting put in the limelight, but that's because he hasn't been basically a political prisoner. Julian Assange has been a political prisoner. He hasn't been able to leave the Ecuadorian embassy in London since 2012. He published those things in 2010 and basically was on the run, false accusations and all this other stuff. So I'm telling you guys, I thank Crafty Geek for submitting this article. I thank all of you for participating in this show. Please go to the Patreon, and also remember, Seattle, I'm doing Political Vigilante Live August 9th and stand-up comedy August 11th. Tickets are in the show notes below. Also doing more progressive comedy tour with Ron Placone November 2nd and 3rd in Sacramento. Tickets are on sale. Everything is in the show notes at grahamelwood.com, and get the Patreon. Listen to this as a podcast. A lot of ways to support the show. Thanks for watching.